Warning! The following audio may contain coarse language and other material that may not be suitable for a younger audience. Listener discretion is advised. Also, we may spoil everything and anything, so you have been warned.
So, yeah.
I'm sorry. I can't help it. I guess it just comes at the right time.
She's just displeased with this.
Alright, I think that's the sign that Jeanne wants to get this podcast started.
Well, Jeanne is
Fucking
quite welcome to
into it.
intro for us if she wants to do it so badly. Because we know how good she is at intros, guys. Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Ah.
She's pretty bad at it.
Bueller?
Hello, everybody, our wonderful, wonderful listeners, and welcome to another episode of PodTaku. Here today, I'm Jeanne, and with me today, I have my usual co-host. I have Tristan from Glass Reflection,
Fake enthusiasm is fake.
Holden from HoldenReviews,
Hey guys, how's it going?
and Gigguk.
Get used to it, guys. It's gonna happen a lot.
Just a bit.
And
Something
like
Gigguk from the Anime Zone.
Sorry guys, I just had this big thing stuck in my throat.
I just
but,
had this bullshit in my throat, and I just need to cough it out.
It's called a bullshit detector, and
bullshit.
anytime Jeanne talks, it kind of just, it's like auto. Like,
So from now on, whenever I talk shit, we're just gonna have like that's like
Yeah.
the shit detector. It's a new shit detector, apparently.
yeah. But
Alright.
yeah, I'm Gigguk from the Amazon, and hey guys, looking forward to another ravishing episode of PodTaku. So
Yeah,
yeah.
man. Ravishing.
And so I guess what we'll do right now is start off with roll call. So let's start off with Holden.
Have we ever called a roll call before?
I think we have.
We have.
Maybe.
This is like in the early days of PodTaku.
Yeah.
Man, I have
We're
some
going
announcements.
back.
I got the notebook open, and so I'm gonna talk about some things really quick. Just
okay.
some notes.
Yeah.
First off, the fact that they announced a season 3 of High School DxD. We've never formally talked about that, but that's
Oh.
literally the best
shit,
thing ever.
son.
God!
Season 3. So just every time it comes out, I'm just like, I deserve this, and I must be God because everything works out for me.
See, I forgot about this.
It's amazing. I cannot believe that it's coming out this fast, but I'm really excited.
We know
Are
Are you
we're-
excited?
I
I've
think
never
I
been
mean,
so
I-
excited. Well, except for that one time, but really,
Watched
who
the
can top
English dub
that?
recently. Pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. The English dub is pretty amazing. But something I thought was really, really interesting was recently they announced that with the newest series of Hunter x Hunter, which I was watching recently, the 2011 one, right? And I watched a couple episodes of that. And while I was watching it, I did some research on it
Okay.
and found out it's ending in 6 weeks.
That does not surprise
Really?
me.
6
yes.
weeks. So
Well,
the final count will be 148.
probably, by the time this is released, it's already going to be finished. Who the
Something like
fuck
that, yeah.
knows?
It's possible. It's possible. But yeah. So I thought that was really crazy. That I just picked the like a
Are you
very
talking
end
about the
point.
manga? Like they're finishing the manga?
No, the manga. The problem is that the manga's not doing anything, and because of that, they're actually stopping the anime.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
there's no like resume in sight for the manga, or like they have because didn't they put it back on?
Yeah, it's off
on the
hiatus now. As someone who is up
Right.
to date to the manga and kind of up to date to the anime, but I've read everything. Yeah, I can see why it's ending because it's coming up to the last major arc that the manga ended at. I mean, the manga has recently gone back off hiatus, but
Yep.
it's very, very early stages, like 10 chapters at the most. like 10, 15 chapters at most that has been of the new arc. So I'm glad that they're ending it. I mean, Madhouse is doing the typical Madhouse thing of just going, what? We have no chapters left? Let's just stop.
They should just,
Which, to be fair,
do it.
is in some cases a very good thing.
Like, in what case?
In what case? If you're going to do that and not do a sequel, then it's a bad case.
Yeah, no,
And
then
that's
it's
my
a bad
problem
case,
I
but
have
it's the
with
kind of thing of where, like, I'm looking at things like Batum. I'm annoyed that Batum's not continuing, but when they finished it, like a year and a half, 2 years ago, they caught up to the
They
manga.
did it really well.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did it really well, and they caught up to the manga, but then now that there's more manga, we have no idea if they're going to continue it.
Yeah,
Same
but-
thing
but
with
the problem-
No Game, No
the
Life.
The problem with it is that when they first adapt it,
Mm-hmm.
they do not leave enough leg room to have a second season per se. Like, I don't feel like there is going to be a second season of Batum or High School of the Dead because that ship has sailed. You know what I mean? That
I don't think it's that. Like, I think the biggest thing with Hot D is there's just nothing to do. Like, Hot D is just basically a finished series at this point. It's like Nana, you know, where it's not over, like, in context of the story,
Yeah.
but it's going to be on indefinite hiatus until probably they die.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
there is no saving it. Like, that's the thing. And it's pretty depressing to see that happen. Because it's like no one even makes up an ending. Because
Yeah.
the thing is like
Right.
you can appreciate like a haphazard ending, even if it is just an anime only ending, because it is that at the very least. But with manga, you don't really have people take over a project post mortem. Like you don't have any of that happen, and so with something like Nana, especially, which hasn't had a chapter in 4
Yeah.
years, 4 years I think.
yeah.
It's gonna. I think it'll just stay that way until she
Man.
dies.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine what happened if, like, a really famous, like, if Oda,
I was
From
just
One
thinking, I was
Piece
like,
just
Ichiro
died.
Yeah, if Ichiro just died.
and then people would be like, well, we're never going to see it again. Well, you know, of course, it's you know, we're going to mourn the death of a person, but there's going to be some fan brats who are going to be like,
But then everybody's going to be like, well, fuck it.
yeah.
It's gonna be crazy. With Hunter x Hunter, and especially, I think that like the thing that I really wanted to like point out about this is, of course, that first off, this is its second adaptation. The first one, which was like the 1999, I think it was,
Something like that.
lasted like 62 episodes.
Yeah.
Really,
and then-
really good adaptation. But Madhouse have done an even better job with this new one. I'm really, it's
and
the
then-
best shonen I've seen so
In
far.
a while.
I think. It's in a while. It's one of the best shonens out there, I think.
I would agree with that.
In
And
my opinion.
then they had the OVAs in like 2002.
Yeah.
But like this is more than all of that combined, and I don't think we'll see any more Hunter x Hunter for potentially another decade or half decade.
Yeah,
it's very
well, if-
possible.
if-
Until
we're
they
not gonna
decide to
see-
remake it again.
Yeah, it's not going to be a continuation of this one. If they remake it, it's going to be a remake and not a sequel because there is not enough manga material to cover it.
No,
But-
yeah.
To go back on the points I made earlier, what do you guys think about endings that literally cut off where the manga, where that much material has ended with like no confirmation of a sequel?
It depends on how they end it. So let me give 2 examples. I don't like how things like Attack on Titan ended, where it was
Okay.
like all this build up and then it just kind of ends. But I'm okay with how like Disappearance of Haruhi ended, if that makes sense.
Man, I was actually gonna mention that recently because I saw it for like the first time recently,
Did you?
and it was just amazing.
Yeah, no. Disappearance is fucking
It was.
amazing.
I could not just imagine. I never thought it'd be that good because I had all the prerequisites out of the way, which was just watching the 2 seasons and stuff, and it's one of those just pieces of anime that just immediately gave me the void after it because it wasn't because I was sad with it. It's because I know what it could be. Like I know that this was like the tip of the iceberg. Like this was like one of the high points in the series, and that there was so much more you could do. That we have evidence of this.
Well,
All,
there's
like,
so
the
much
books
more
and stuff.
light novels that are out. There's even translated light novels that go beyond Disappearance.
Yeah,
right now.
there is, and it's just I think that's what makes it so depressing. It's because it felt like they were trying to say this isn't the end, but because then you watch
for
the
a
credits
while,
and you
it is.
see the 2009. And
Yeah.
you see the 2009 copyright, and you go, I haven't seen anything since then, since 2009.
Oh wait, we get the disappearance of Yuki Nagato. Oh, just
Yeah, well, that
If
is
that
that
does
is a
happen.
thing, but we don't know the date that's coming out.
We don't
yet.
know the date. I am excited for it,
And
though,
it's
just
also not
because-
being animated by Kyoto Annie,
Yeah.
which is another thing to keep in mind.
Which is it's
So
fine.
it's probably one of the things where
I'll deal with it.
somebody's coming in to fill the Haruhi void with doing the Yuki Nagato manga because it's not tied up in rights ownership with Kyoto Annie right now,
Yeah.
who are not
Well-
doing anything that they do not have 100% full rights to at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't feel like there is going to ever be a season 3 of Haruhi.
No, probably not. No.
Partly
Probably
because a huge scandal with Aya Hirano as well, where she dicked.
Well, no, but
everyone
that
in-
happened before Disappearance. I actually think that happened in and
Oh,
around the
it
time
did
season
actually,
2 came
I
out.
think.
So
Did it?
I don't think that's
That's what
a big deal. She's had a lot of work since then.
But
And there are still
tell
a
me what
rabid
she
people.
had.
There are people on the internet
Yeah.
that exist that actually believe that Haruhi is a real person and that Ai Hirano is like
Yeah.
their Jesus.
All right.
I am not making this up. People do actually think this. You laugh,
No,
But-
I know what he's talking about. I've seen
but it
this.
exists.
I've been on the threads. Shout out to you guys reading this today. But like, okay, Garn, let me ask you this then. Like, you specifically, because this immediately affects you, was that on I think the 23rd of June, according to my notebook, they actually announced that they're having an after story to Emo.
I was going to mention this, so it's
Oh,
funny.
Jesus
It's funny
Christ.
that you bring this out. Yeah.
because it's like that. You had your ending that you were fine with,
Yeah.
and now they're going beyond it. It's kind of like, to me, in
Isn't
my
it kind of like
perspective,
what they did with Fullmetal Alchemist?
no, for
no.
me,
I
no,
see.
no,
I knew this was going to
it's
come.
nothing-
It's
it's
not
nothing
like
like
from
that, really.
FMA.
No, no, no.
FMA,
FMA
is-
was a remake and continuation. Same with Hellsing
yeah, that was
Ultra.
totally different.
Those are what those things were doing.
This is Karno Kyokai Mirai Fukuin.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an addition that isn't necessarily necessary, but at the same time is just being given anyway.
Okay.
Okay, well, this opens up the topic to a whole load of other anime that have sequels that may or may not be warranted. With Orimo, I'm happy with the sequel because that one is not so plot driven and it's called After Story, so I don't know what it means by that, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be more of an epilogue than anything. Because the
Sure.
biggest thing that Orimo was missing was an epilogue, and that's why a lot of fans got pissed off. I was fine with it, but a lot of fans got pissed off because they kind of shafted it kind of quickly. So I'm happy with an After Story. That gives us the closure that we wanted. In terms of something like Mirai Fukin, Karen no Kyokai, I have still not seen that, and I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure
need
how
to.
soon it is.
I don't
will,
need to. I'm gonna save it for when I want to.
because I was so
well,
happy.
that's what I'm doing too. Yeah.
I was so happy with the ending of the original Karen no Kyokai. The seven movies wrapped it up in a perfect little nutshell for me, and I didn't want to see more. And then they made more. And as much as I love Karen no Kyokai, I loved it because it was complete. I had a complete experience with it. So I was really, really unsure when
I
it
think-
comes to a sequel.
I have a really similar problem, personally, with the Bakemonogatari series and just everything surrounding it. Is because I do genuinely like, or at least I used to. Now I've trained myself to not like it, but I genuinely liked it, and then it just got so much stuff, and I just didn't care, and I just hated it because it just became.
You mean
it just-
after Nisemonogatari?
No, just even after Bakemonogatari, everything just kind of dissolved it. If Bakemonogatari was all that there was, I think I would hold it in a much higher regard than what it is. Because what it is proves that it can be factory made. That it's not that special. That it can be duplicated and even expanded upon. And so it kind of loses a lot of its luster and flair there. But
Yeah.
that's
Because
just
it's
me
not
with that
special
series.
anymore.
Because it loses that whole edge. I think that's the biggest thing with that series in particular. Because it's how did you guys feel about Rebellion? Then
Yep.
because
Yep, I was going to bring up Rebellion.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that. I kind of knew that was coming.
Okay, so what did you guys think of Rebellion? Because let's just say hypothetically, I don't care and I didn't listen to the thing.
Yeah.
What did you guys think
Well,
of that being
since-
a direct sequel that wasn't necessary?
Since
Or was it?
I-
What's your opinion?
It
Since
goes in
I
with
was
my
not-
thoughts on sequels
Okay.
that if you're going to make a sequel to something that at least I felt was fine as it was, you better make sure that it either finishes it again or that you're going to continue it. In Rebellion's case, it took an ending that I thought I was happy with. I was happy with the ending of Madoka. And then it was like, no, we're going to continue this. So we're going to do that. We're going to give a lot of hype to it. And then we're going to just end it with a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah,
You didn't like that.
I think the Madoka Rebellion gave more questions than closure, basically, which really, really annoyed me because I was happy with the original Madoka ending, you know.
Yeah,
and
no.
then it had room for sequels. Okay, fair enough.
No,
it
it
wasn't
did.
necessary, but it had room for sequels. But Rebellion came
And that
along,
was fine.
and it was just like it was a sequel to make more sequels, and I
Yeah.
wasn't happy
Yeah.
with that.
No.
That,
Especially since we have no idea if and when they're going to actually continue this. Like, I know they're probably going to, and they're at least thinking about it
Yeah.
because of how much money Rebellion freaking
Because
made them.
Madoka is the #1 selling anime of all time.
Yeah, so basically the Rebellion movie, like, I was indifferent to the series as a whole, and after the movie I kind of felt the same way. Basically, what Rebellion made me feel was like, okay, basically this whole movie was just like a big teaser trailer for another movie to come out.
Okay,
Okay.
I got
It's
something.
nowhere
now.
to be seen
Okay.
at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steins Gate. So that ended.
Oh, I haven't
24
seen the film for
episodes.
Steins Gate yet.
No. Okay. Well, I'm not talking about the film yet, but
Oh, you're just
it ended
talking about the
24
OVA.
episodes. Yeah, and
Oh, okay.
we were. I remember I was like, I'm really happy with this ending. I do not want any more Steins Gate whatsoever.
But the OVA, man, was just blew
So
all
good.
of those preconceptions
Yeah.
out of the water.
Wasn't the OVA was just basically a little spin-off of-
But the OVA
Yeah,
reminded
Christina.
you of that you weren't satisfied with everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
Yeah.
You really thought you were, and then you saw that, and then you're like, oh man, there's so much more I want to see.
Yeah.
I suddenly am so much more interested. No, I didn't really have that moment because I was totally interested in Steins Gate from basically
Yeah, you love
episode
Steins Gate, man.
8. But, yeah.
Shout out to all of our reviews on it.
I didn't.
We've all reviewed it, I think.
I think
True. But you know, the movie itself was pretty shit. Not gonna lie. I don't think anyone else here has seen it, but it was
No.
possibly the most unnecessarily boring movie ever. And I want more Steins Gate just so I can end Steins Gate on a higher note that the movie left off, and they definitely did make room for sequels. But
So at this
that's-
point, if they were to offer one, would you accept it then?
I would accept it. I want a better ending to my Steins Gate than that movie. But I have noticed that the art of telling a complete story in anime is dying out.
Yeah, it is, because, I mean, let's put it this way. I think we've talked about this before as a group, but I think we can touch base on it again. The concept that nowadays sequels are almost guaranteed. Like, there's a 50% chance that you can get a sequel almost for any given series.
Yeah.
And that's never happened even 5 years ago, like half a decade even. Like, you would never see, for instance, Chaika would never have a sequel a season away from, like, the last season. Like, it's like, it's such a weird, first off, I don't know why they're doing that, why they just skip the season. They're like, okay, no Chaika for this next 12 weeks, but then more Chaika. Like, that's
It's
just
like it's like Space Dandy. It's like
Dude,
okay.
okay, actually, I'm glad that you brought up Space Dandy, because just on a really quick side note, Space Dandy, as we all know, was on Toonami recently, and Toonami
Still
also
is.
just got the release rights to Tangatopa Gurren Lagann, so that aired on the
Man.
16th, just
I
yesterday.
didn't even know that. Man, they're doing
No,
so-
I never knew that they even didn't have it. Was my
Yeah.
biggest thing.
Yeah.
To
I
me,
would-
it
I
was
would
just a
assume-
given.
I was
I
just
thought
like,
it was
oh, this
already
is
airing on
white
Toonami.
trash
It was an
anime.
eventuality that we were just waiting for.
I just always thought it was, because it's the ultimate white trash anime. It's like, white people will love this. Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
when Kill la Kill gets dubbed, that's
'cause it's
going to
like-
come out on
it
Toonami.
is,
I'm
'cause it's
calling it
so-
now.
but here's the thing. I'm almost glad that they got Space Dandy first than over this, because I think Space Dandy is more approachable, because it's episodic, whereas Tangatopa Gurren Lagann is so
not.
anime. It's so anime, kind of like Kill la Kill, where I think it could definitely deter people. But Toonami's doing really hot, as is proof by, on Labor Day, they're going to be showing episodes 1 to 12 of Attack on Titan, one big marathon, which is just crazy.
Oh, that's great.
It's just crazy. But,
I mean-
because that's all they have
Right.
up to date, because Funimation's released that. Which Attack on Titan, like we said, the sequel, that's what we've always kind of wanted. which we've actually got like a note about because the editor recently announced that with the mangaka, he said he wants to get done in 3 to 4 years within that long. Mm-hmm. So apparently there's gonna be 3 to 4 more years of the manga of Attack on Titan, which sounds like a lot.
Okay,
sounds like a lot, right?
Talking about endings, talking about the ending thing. I remember reading a piece where the manga said he was going to change the ending to Attack on Titan.
Yes, he did. He did say. I did remember reading that because he did say, due to its popularity, he was going to end it. Because his original ending was he was going to have everyone die.
Yes.
And then he changed it.
I was very disappointed with that.
I was too. It really showed the author kind of wasn't as resolute about his ideas as he once thought. That said, it's not as bad as we think, because 3 years sounds like a lot, because, for Bleach or Naruto or One Piece, anything running in Shonen Jump Weekly, that's going to be 208 chapters, but 3 to 4 years isn't as long as we think, because in 3 to 4 years, with something that's running in Weekly Shonen Jump, it's a lot. That's about 208 chapters. I did the math on this. But
yep.
What we don't realize is that Attack on Titan is running in Kodakawa's monthly publication, thus there'll only be 48 chapters. Mm-hmm. So it's not nearly as much as we think. To put it in perspective, FMA had about 108 total, and that ran for about a decade in Shonen Gangan, which is the Square Enix kind one. And so I'm really interested because it's real one. It's like the #1 manga in Japan, but just another 3 years. That's all really interesting. Just due to Attack on Titan, just such.
I
heavy
like
hitter.
that. I like that. I like that they're gonna end it in a
3 years.
foreseeable future.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Instead of just like it's gonna end eventually.
Whenever. It's not like it's because so many mangas right now just don't even know. And as we were talking about earlier, I would rather have an ending, even if it was haphazard and those cancel endings, Garnt. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. But yeah,
I would rather have that.
Because the thing about endings is that
then just nothing.
When I see in a chart, when I see it says original anime, that is a big selling point for me nowadays. Because in my mind, that automatically means this is going to have an ending, or at least this is going to. This is.
Well, it's not limitations. It's that this was planned with the medium in mind.
This was planned with a story in mind, and if it's going to have a sequel, then they're probably something like Psycho-Pass. You know what I mean? Where they definitely Gen Urobuchi wrote it, and he gave a very, very good ending while managing to sequel bait without feeling that's such a bad thing.
And now season 2 is being written without him.
Yeah. Same thing with Gargantua as well.
Yeah, man.
So I don't know, I would like to see more anime that is original, but
You know what? I would like that, but for a completely different reason.
Okay.
So I don't get fucking
That's really
spoiled.
selfish.
By people just saying, "Oh, well, this happened in the manga." It's like, fuck you. I didn't fucking ask. And when we have something original come out, then there's no issues and there's no risk of.
Well,
that's not entirely true, because then you have to be fully up to date, which I know you're not. So I could talk about Zankyou no Terror and
that's
all
also
of it,
true.
but you probably haven't watched it.
Yeah, don't do that.
But I will say, five.
Yeah, no,
Let's
don't
talk
do that.
about 5. But
Or we can talk about the last episode of Fate Zero right
for
now.
the week of us.
I will murder.
But no,
you.
I think something that's actually really important to talk about then is, for instance, Unlimited Blade Works. They just announced that they're doing a full series, a full adaptation of Unlimited Blade Works made by Ufotable, and that's
Indeed
fucking crazy. I'm really excited for it.
We're all gonna be watching it, right?
Now that we know exactly what they're doing.
And
It's
they're
amazing.
I don't know if I am
I
excited
really want
for
it.
it.
See, the thing is, wasn't everybody hoping for a Heaven's Feel, though?
No,
I thought it was
we all
going to be
thought it
Heaven's
was.
Feel, but now Unlimited Blade Works is the series and Heaven's Feel is the movie. But I'm worried about that because I'm worried that the Heaven's Feel movie will end up being exactly what the Unlimited Blade Works movie is.
I'm
Way
really
too
glad
rushed
about
to
that, because I
actually
don't
be
give a
worth
shit
damn.
about Evansville, and unless there was a lot of dicking, like in the VN, I wouldn't care. But I think UBW, I really can't wait to see UBW. Also, I'm really glad that they're not remaking the original one, because I'm so glad.
Yeah,
oh
the
my
Fate-
god,
Fate
they're not doing the
line,
Fate line, and just seeing people cry about that is literally the joy of my life. Seeing people upset that
Well, the Fate line already got an adaptation. It's there if
I
people
love
want to
it.
see it.
I love that
No.
Ufotable is like, you ruined it for everybody. Now we're gonna fix one thing that you did wrong, but we're gonna let everyone know that was your poop on the carpet, and we're gonna put your face in it. And just Studio Dean is just, oh man, they're like, oh shit, they're gonna hate us.
I mean, what do you guys think of the trailer?
Oh man,
Have you
it
seen
looks
it?
fucking
Because
Which
oh
one?
well,
There's a
just
few.
in general,
I've seen all of
because
them. I've
I
seen
think
all
the
of them.
thing that surprised me is that man, Ufotable have taken it up a notch once again in terms of
It's
setting
amazing
the bar
because
of animation quality.
We thought Mappa, the people who are making Shingeki no Bahamut, Genesis, and as well as
Zanki no
Zanki no
Terror, which
Terror,
looks amazing.
look
not
amazing,
gonna lie.
and we thought it was like, oh wow, this is like a really high bar that they're setting, and then Ufotable just continues to prove that in its absence, they're still the best visually, kind of like yours truly, and so I think that I was really shocked first off that because we always kind of assumed that F-Zero was like that Fate Zero was going to be like the
I thought you were talking about F-Zero the game there.
That was the
and I was just
threshold.
like, what's
That was the
fucking Captain
threshold.
Falcon got to do
Captain
with this?
Falcon, man. He has an
Oh,
anime
man.
too, so that's
Yeah.
what.
Show me your animation.
So it was just kind of really jarring to see them improve themselves once more, because I thought that we'd kind of ran tangent to the line, and the line is like theoretical, like perfection,
Yeah.
and I thought that we were like moving really far towards it. So like I thought that we would need a radical change in material, in some kind of thing like that, before we could even up it even more, like something beyond computers or something, like something much more metaphysical or something like it's something I can't explain.
Here's okay.
This is so meta,
Something
bro.
else being established.
Yeah,
with
just
technology.
not even technology, just something that we can't explain that could push the medium. Like something that when it
Yeah.
comes out, we'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so obvious, you know? Something like, oh, that was the natural evolution. Like the idea of like, for instance, like the internet back in the day, people were like, oh, it's like they didn't necessarily think about it, but they were like,
Nothing's better than
someone's gonna-
dial-up.
someone's
That's
going
the
to
best
create
thing
something
ever.
that's going to really change the world. We don't know what it is yet. And I was like, there's a lot of things like that which can't tell what it is.
Okay. Let me ask you this then.
Sure, dude.
I actually have two questions, but going on this topic. Okay. So hypothetically, 3D animation. If that
man, that's
actually
perfect. That's
looks
a really good- that's
good,
a really good
if
question.
that actually looks good,
Yes.
do you think it could take
it's
off?
viable?
Like
definitely.
say,
Let's
going
talk
back
about
to
Fire
like,
Emblem Awakening. Let's
let's talk about.
Like what kind? No wait. Well, like what kind of 3D animation are you talking about?
Okay, have you seen the latest like Super
Okay.
Smash Brothers
Super Smash Brothers stuff too. Yeah.
animation?
The
Something like
Madhouse
that.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's made actually by some people who worked with Madhouse before. Because it's obviously not in engine for Nintendo.
Yeah, because 3D rendering obviously has a lot of advantages that,
Yeah.
especially with big scale stuff. You don't have to render the same person. You can render the same person over and over again instead of just drawing them. So you
Yes.
save a lot of time and effort.
Well, it's like how in the new Sailor Moon they're using 3D.
Man,
for the
that looks so
transformation
bad.
sequences.
I'm sorry. That looks. I fucking hate that
Yeah.
transformation. Anyone who fucking thinks that looks good, I prefer the.
No, it
Yeah,
doesn't look good.
I mean, okay.
Like there are select times when it does look good, but it hasn't looked good in show. I'm only talking about that music video they made for the opening. There are some of the 3D bits in there that are just lighted in a way that makes it look a lot better than normal, but the actual transformation sequences and stuff in the show, no, that looks
Yeah,
horrible.
I mean the thing about 3D,
I'm
the
not a
thing about
fan.
3D is that ever since I saw Fire Emblem and Super Smash Brothers, before that I was like, my mentality to 3D was okay.
It's
it
not
looks,
viable.
It's not viable. I can see
It's a
see
gimmick.
why they use it. It's for the budget. I can see why they use it, but I will never ever. It's always just I will get used to this 3D. Rather than this looks good. But when I saw the animation for the stuff I talked about, I was
Fire
like,
Emblem
wow,
yeah, man.
I could watch an actual series out of this and not have to adjust myself to the art style, which is the big thing. You don't have to adjust yourself, whereas in typical 3D animation within anime, you're like, okay, that's really jarring, but I have to adjust myself.
It's I think the two examples.
Yeah, no, it's
You go on, Tristan.
It was like, well, Smash Brothers is one of the things, but it's like it's basically exactly what they did when Nintendo back in the day made Wind Waker. Because you go from the more realistic stuff in 3D, and then you move to Wind Waker, which is a lot more anime styled and so forth with the cell shading and so forth. But
I think that like
I can't remember where I was going.
more
with that,
recently,
but, yeah.
I think two very important examples are, of course, Knights of Sidonia and Ruby. And Ruby. That's what I said. And Ruby. And I guess if you want to have a third one, you could say Nobunaga Concerto. And
What do you think about Jeanne? What do you think of the animation of Nobunaga?
I've seen it, dude.
I've seen an episode of it.
Surprisingly enough, I am
looks
enjoying
shit.
it.
But in terms of the art style,
Well, it's not. I mean, I wouldn't prefer it to like what we're used to, but it's refreshing in a way. It's just nice to see something different every once in a while. Maybe
But
that's why I liked Akuno
but is it
Hana so
good?
much as well.
We're not asking if
Short answer? No. Long answer?
No, it's not Die Hard amazing,
Die Hard.
but it's not.
So that's the sequel with Bruce Willis. Like, what are we talking about here?
It's just not. It's not amazing, but it's not.
It's
horrible
horrible.
either.
I think it looks terrible.
It's dealable.
I cannot
It's
stand it.
dealable.
As
It's
an animator, I'm gonna bring
satisfactory
out the professional
at
card
most.
again. You're wrong. That's the short answer. It's terrible. It's really
Alright,
bad
that's
looking.
fine.
I think that
I
the
know.
biggest thing about it is that aesthetically and with framing.
I just really love the horseback
look at
riding
it's
sequence.
first.
with it.
That's like the
I
worst
just
part.
think the horses. No, I think the horses look so fucking cool.
Your opinions
Just
are
the way
just
their
trash
tail
to
moves
me.
in
Like
3D.
I just can't deal with this anymore.
I love it. They just look like puppets. I love
No,
it.
okay, so as a short recap, whenever we asked what did we think of it, she said the horses looked fine. But whenever we asked me and Alan who have seen it, me and Alan, the one thing, without telling Alan or anything, he said the one thing that looks the worst, he said the horses. And it was just the true satisfaction I felt, knowing that the horses do look terrible. Because
Yeah.
they're the worst part. The people and like the framing with that, right, is kind of
Okay.
like fine. But, because like you can see what they were going for. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. Is like aesthetically, it can read really pretty, but it's just so, it looks like a stop motion film. It looks like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer just shot in HD now. But with something like Knights of Sidonia, I would almost prefer that to something like Nobunaga Concerto. But then you have, again, the whole thing with stuff like Fire Emblem Awakening.
I wish I have other things to. I wish I have other things.
I got
to
a lot to compare it
to.
to.
Because that's really the only thing I saw.
We can even talk it. We can even compare it to the Canadian shows, such as like Cubix, which is technically an anime, but
Reboot!
yeah, I was about to say Stay Frosty with Reboot,
Reboot's fucking amazing.
but they're not aesthetically
I'm sorry.
pleasing. Like even Transformers, Beast Wars, and
Yeah, but those, to be fair, those were early
yes,
90s.
I was about to say
we haven't
that's
seen.
Blue Sub. That's Blue Sub number 5 old. Like
I mean,
Yeah.
it looks terrible for a reason.
yeah, like I said, the only two real proper examples I've seen are that could be viable are, you know, Fire Emblem and Super Smash Brothers, both of which are in-game cutscenes. So I don't know why that is. You look at fucking Berserk as well, and that just looks like crap. There is not a good example in an anime story.
Yeah,
That has been portrayed yet. But I would be interested if it did get onto that level, because I would watch that and I would enjoy it as well. That level of animation, I would enjoy it.
Yeah, a very high
I look
level.
forward to seeing that. But another question I was going to ask you guys
Sure.
before this one
Yeah.
was,
You know what? I would like it as long as the original wouldn't disappear. Like, I don't want it to evolve to the point that the other one just
You
disappears.
can't always
wow,
do what you want.
thank you for just
And
like interrupting
Jeanne comes
me.
out from left field to give us that wonderful piece of commentary.
Cigar, what were you saying before you were interrupted?
Thank you very much. Before it was literally like, let me just ask you this one question, guys, and you literally go, yeah. So this topic we were talking about 5 minutes ago, I'm gonna say something now. Okay, are you gonna let me speak, Jeanne? Or okay?
Yes,
are you okay?
you're allowed.
Okay. Thank you for ruining
I
my
give
train
you
of
permission.
thought twice in this podcast.
No
now I would
problem.
like to say, but. I don't know if you just have it out for me to, yeah. Okay. After Fate,
Okay, go.
after Fate Stay Night,
Yes.
what comes next for Ufotable?
UFO Table is going to be.
They're gonna make their own shit.
They're going to make
bro.
girls work, hopefully. That's what they've been wanting
Either
to
that,
make
or they're
forever.
gonna move on and do like Tsukihime.
It's interesting because they're so
Huh.
synonymous with
Huh.
Type Moon.
Yeah, that's the thing. The best Ufotable stuff have been the Type Moon stuff.
Because
I mean, you can talk.
So they're either going to continue on and do something like Tsukihime, or they're going to move on and adapt something else, or they're just going to make their own shit and go.
Then they're just gonna disband. I could honestly see just a bunch
That
of
could be.
artists who are like that perfect about everything, just being like, we're gonna quit while we're ahead. We're disbanding because we've adapted everything that we want to. I don't want them to. I would hate that because they are like my vision of like perfection as far as animation goes. But it's hard to tell because I think it's possible, first off, Garnt, because people neglect to realize the existence of stuff like, for instance, Gyo.
Yes,
Which-
but I mean, as good as Gyo was in comparison to what we thought he was going to be, it's not a masterpiece like Fate's Stay Night or Fate Zero is.
Gyo was not meant to be a masterpiece. Gyo
Yes.
looks amazing. That's the thing. Gyo looks really good, and that's what their job was. Their job is not to write the story because they do adaptations. That's the thing. Like, would I hold it against Madhouse for adapting Furo Kano? Hell no. That'd be ridiculous. But because it's not their fault necessarily. I understand, like, the idea of if it was original, we could totally blame them. Like, I would be all for it. But I feel like it's almost unjust to just be like, oh, but this thing that the source material was shit, so the anime was shit, go figure. Like, it was Gyo. Like, it was a 2-volume horror manga. Like, what did we expect? Like, but if they were given the proper things, I think they could do amazing. But we don't know yet. That's the thing. We just don't know.
Okay.
I hope for the best, though.
We just don't know. It's not a thing we do.
don't know. Well,
It's just
that-
uncertain.
those are our predictions of the future. If you, the audience, think that we missed off anything big in terms of the future of animation, apart from 3D, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, the biggest one that I would say that we've neglected is, which I've wondered about, is the Oculus Rift support animation. I think
We'll wait for that to actually become a thing in video games before we even consider.
I'm just gonna say it
moving
now,
that
so
to
we can
anime.
look back at this in a decade and be like, "Holy shit, Holden predicted the future." That's why I said.
Or we look back in this future and go, Holden, that was fucking stupid, bro.
No,
How
but
many,
then
how many things have we correctly predicted in PodTaku before? Since
you.
this has been going on for 2 years now, so sorry you guys didn't have a 2-year live stream. You know, blame
everyone
life.
but me.
Blame
life, the universe, and everything.
or
everything in it.
Jeanne. Or
Yeah.
Jeanne.
Or Jeanne.
As we will probably do anyway. As we do with
Hashtag
everything.
Gene fail.
What is your question, Grant?
Wait, what did I do now?
Everything.
Everything.
What didn't you do?
I don't know.
And so, yeah.
And so with
Well-
that... Okay. Jeanne,
with
do you
our-
have anything to add?
No. No, sorry. I thought I had something to say, but
Turns out you didn't.
We're not gonna say it. All right, so I guess this is where we'll end off the podcast for today. So I'm Jeanne from Anime Appraisal. With me today, I had Tristan from Glass Reflection,
Stay frosty, everyone.
Holden from HoldenReviews,
Sayonara. See you later.
and Gigguk from The Anime Zone.
And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Yeah.
Man, I thought you were gonna come up with some witty remark, like or something like that.
Man.
See, when you
Take that, internet.
try to do that, you actually just sound like a horse.
Yeah.
Good, like the horses in Nobunaga. I would love that so much.
Wakuramanze has amazing tits and horses. My recommendation of the day.
And also Sarah Jessica Parker.